I said I wouldn't talk about this anymore in relation to the claim farmers, and I don't want to. But let me just, I didn't want to share this story, but I'm going to. I'm not going to say who it was, but I was continually being tagged to a certain person's post all the time. Bro, you should speak to this person, they can help you get compensation. So I did. I went down and met this person at Central, and we were taken to a lawyer, and I sat down with a lawyer, and I was fed a narrative. They were trying to feed me a narrative. This is what you need to say to get yourself the maximum amount of money. And I replied, I'm a genuine survivor. I've really been through abuse. I put 4 of these fuckers in prison. I've been through royal commissions. There would have been 2 more convicted, but they died through the process. If I have to tell lies to get what I fucking deserve, I don't fucking want it. The system's problem. The system needs to fix the system so that fucking genuine survivors who have proven it in fucking court are paid. But people didn't need to do that. All they need to do was say, I was abused here, Joe Blow did it. And you know what was fucking even more insulting to me was people would message me, man. At the very beginning, I didn't know what was going on. So they'd say, hi, Glenn. I was in Darrick. Okay, bro. Could you please tell me the officers' names? I can't remember. Stupid Glenn, blah, 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 tells them the name. And who are the ones that have been charged with abuse? Only then did I start to cotton on. You know, people say, oh, can you describe Darrick? Were there lights here? All these different questions that were coming up to me. And then one of them who I confronted on it blocked me. And is another one out there. There's a couple out there, but they're out there that fucking... people message me all the time about 3 different names that are male, 1 woman, and it fucking does my head in. Because I am a legitimate, genuine survivor. But you know what? Money's not going to change what happened to me. It won't change it. I'm going to use my life to try and help change other people's lives. And it's sad that what's happened... yes, you can argue that someone's fighting against a system that did mess them up and, fuck the system. But people aren't looking at the bigger picture here. Fuck the system means that every time you look at me or you look at any other survivor of abuse who does get compensated or even just speaks up and tells their story, there's going to be that niggle in their head now that says, is this for clout? Is this for money? What's this for? I legitimately share my story because I lost multiple friends on the streets that aren't here. They died under the age of 18, one of which was my girlfriend. I speak because they don't have a fucking voice. I speak because I don't want to see what I saw growing up in the institutions as a child, in foster care, or on the streets of King's Cross, where men ran riot, aided and abetted by fucking corruption, corrupt police, people in positions of power who are fucking abusing children, legitimately abusing children. I do that so that history doesn't repeat. I don't ever want to see any child go through the way that I grew up. And I refuse to be a fucking victim. I'm not a victim. And yes, sometimes I get emotional. At the moment, I feel very emotional because of the amount of stuff coming at me. I wrestled for days and days and days of whether or not I should speak up. And you know what? I always will speak up when I see things that aren't right. And it might get under people's collars and people might say this and people say, I had someone write, I can't even say what they said to me on another platform, but literally were telling me to unalive. I nearly did twice, man. I nearly lost my life twice. I literally sat outside of a church in Annandale in 1988 and I walked into a church and I did just that, and by some fucking miracle or the grace of God, a man managed to catch me at that exact time where it would have been fatal, or at least I wouldn't be able to walk anymore, the choice that I chose. But by some miracle, someone saved my life. And that had to happen at that point in my life. I had a little daughter. Since then, I've had 4 kids. I've got 7 grandkids, none of which would have existed if I overdosed on the street or if I had unalived. It means a lot to me that the right people are compensated, but not just compensated, are given counselling for the rest of their lives. I'm really a miracle to come out the other side, but there are many, many, many who haven't. And I talk to them on a daily, like literally daily. I speak to people who are through abuse, and the trauma, I feel it. I feel it in my fucking very soul when I speak to these people. And it's hard to relay into them, my heart, sorry. What I have in here is to get it to them to say, there ain't nobody going to ride through here on a fucking horse and save your sorry ass, man. The only person in this life that can save you is you. Now, you can look at that 2 ways. You can say, that's fucked. Nobody can rescue me. Or you can actually get excited and say, what? I hold the fucking power to my happiness. I hold the power to my future. Now, look, I'm not going to lie. I still get flashbacks. I still struggle really bad with complex PTSD. I get distorted really easy. If someone doesn't talk to me a few days, I start to get really fucking nervous, and it actually affects my mental health because I sit there for days going, did I say something? What did I do? And I literally replay it over in my head for days. It happened to me a year ago, as you know, when I broke up with Frankie. The same thing. I kept thinking, what did I do? What did I say? And I didn't even really care about the relationship. I just cared about, have I done something wrong? Because that's the child hurting. That's the child I was as a kid. When my mother used to fucking attack me for no reason, or my father would attack me for no reason. And I would sit there thinking, what did I fucking do? And you know, the truth was I didn't do fucking nothing. The issue was theirs. And it's the same with when we take shit on. If someone calls me a name, I have two options. One is I can laugh and say, your opinion of me doesn't matter. Or two, I can take that shit on board and I can allow your saying to make me feel any certain kind of way. That's a choice, man. I have a choice on how to feel. I have a choice on how to respond as opposed to react. And I have a choice here to answer to this. I think it's not true. Look, that's, again, your choice to accept or not accept of what's been said. Some of us have known for years that this has been going on, and not just this person. Lots of people have been fucking doing this. And like I said, there's a few people out there who have got quite big platforms who are claiming to be survivors, who I know are not, who I fucking know, right? I'm not saying that, I don't say things if I'm not telling the truth. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. I've been quite emotional for the last few days because I really struggled. Do I speak up? Do I say something? And that's the same thing I struggled with my abuse for years. I'm not going to speak about this. I don't want anybody to know. And it's the same reason my abusers went free for so many years. One, because I was so scared of being a snitch. I didn't want a dob, right? They wanted me to wear a fucking wire against abusers. And it was when the police said to me, Glenn, you do realise that every person after you being abused is somewhat on you. And that really sat with me, and I thought, wow, you know, if I had spoken up back in 83, I wouldn't have been here. Such was the corruption. The last thing I'll say, and people don't understand, King's Cross police were protecting the predators. And the reason they did that was because they had a big hand in the drug trade that was going on down there. So the predators provided this money to children. The children bumped that up to the dealers, who then in turn give it to the Johnny Hoppers, who were also paying 10K. See, the way it worked back then was they were given free license to try and condense drug trade into King's Cross and then eventually also Cabramatta. But what that did was give them free license to pick and choose. They would shut down those that weren't a part of them, and they would protect. And I know so many names. You know, I remember, I nearly said two names then. I remember one guy in a shop who was literally selling to people and then pointing. See, the coppers used to do blitzes in the cross. The next day in the paper, Australia would read, police clean up King's Cross, 200 arrests in one day. And you all read that and think, oh, great, it's about time they did something down there. No, what they did was arrested 50 addicts coming out of one of their dealers, load them up with the usual trifecta, resist arrest, offensive language, offensive behaviour, possession, because they just got on, and there's 4 charges right there, and then whatever else they'll probably already wanted for anyway. So 50 people, 200 charges, and they always did it just before the elections. And it was known in the cross that they called it the blitz. They used to do a blitz through the cross every time just before elections. Anyway, have a good day, people. I can only speak my truth, and I can only speak from my heart. Again, I say, you have the choice whether you to believe or to not believe what's happened. I get it. I respect people who stick up for their mates. I do. I respect that. I grew up on the streets where loyalty was fucking key to my survival. Other kids kept me alive, and I kept other kids alive. But I also have to speak now on behalf of other survivors, because if I don't, they will suffer. So if you're a genuine survivor out there, I'm sorry this has happened. Just hold your head high and know you survived. And you have a choice on how you accept life, whether you want to be a victim or a survivor.